Most people walk into a room and no one notices. Their presence barely registers, like a shadow dissolving into the background, easily overlooked and forgotten. They drift in, their energy faint, unremarkable, like static noise lost in a crowded space. Their movements are unintentional, their posture uncertain, their expressions easily dismissed. When they speak, their voices don't command attention. Their words evaporate the moment they're spoken, carrying no weight, no impact. They nod, they shuffle, they exist, but they don't command. They blend in so seamlessly that if they left, no one would turn to ask where they went. And then, there are those who step in, and everything changes. It's as if an invisible force sweeps through the room, shifting the atmosphere in an instant. Conversations slow, laughter dulls, eyes instinctively track them, drawn by something unspoken yet undeniable. Even those who don't know them feel their presence before they say a single word. They don't have to announce themselves. They don't need to demand attention. It's given to them freely. It's not arrogance that sets them apart. There's no desperation in their demeanor. No need to prove anything. It's not loudness. They don't need to out-talk the room to be heard. It's not intimidation. There's no aggression, no forceful attempt to establish dominance. It's something far more powerful. A quiet, magnetic presence. A confidence so deeply rooted that respect flows toward them effortlessly. The way they hold themselves, the way they move, the way they seem completely at ease in their own space. It all signals something primal, something that makes people take notice. They don't chase attention, they attract it. They don't beg for respect, they embody it. And once you've felt that kind of presence, you never forget it. Why? Because they understand a simple truth. People are constantly assessing one another, whether they realize it or not. The moment you step into a room, an unspoken judgment takes place. Eyes glance in your direction, and within seconds, you're categorized. Respected or ignored, admired or dismissed, leader or follower. No introductions are needed, no words have to be exchanged. The decision is made in an instant, locked into the subconscious of those around you. It happens everywhere. In business meetings where silent hierarchies dictate whose voice carries weight and whose ideas are brushed aside. In social gatherings where some people naturally attract attention while others struggle to be acknowledged. In relationships where the balance of power is set long before the first conversation even begins. You might think people judge you based on what you say, that your words alone shape their perception of you. But in reality, it's far more primal than that. They judge how you stand, whether you shrink yourself or take up space. They judge how you move, whether you carry yourself with certainty or hesitation. They judge how you speak, not just the words, but the rhythm, the pauses, the unshaken control of your voice. If you rush your words, if you fidget, if you seek approval in every sentence, you've already lost. You signal weakness without realizing it. People don't consciously decide to place you beneath them. It happens automatically like a reflex. And once that perception is set, it sticks. The human brain resists changing its first impression. Once they see you as someone beneath them, as someone who lacks presence, power, or certainty, it's nearly impossible to undo. You become just another background character in their world, easily overlooked, easily dismissed. But what if you could shift that dynamic instantly? What if a single adjustment in your presence could make people treat you with more respect, without you needing to say a word? Imagine walking into a room, and instead of fading into the background, you become someone people naturally gravitate toward. Imagine speaking and watching as others lean in, waiting for your words, sensing an unshakable confidence in your presence. The answer to this shift is simpler than you think. It's not about talking louder, forcing dominance into conversations, or trying to sound more intelligent. It's about something far more subtle, yet infinitely more powerful. It's about mastering the one tool that separates those who command attention from those who beg for it: the pause. Most people are terrified of silence. They see it as an empty void that must be filled, a gap in conversation that threatens to make them invisible. The moment there's a pause, they rush to speak, scrambling to regain attention, stumbling over their words in their desperation to stay relevant. They talk too quickly, afraid they'll be ignored. They ramble, thinking more words equal more influence. They laugh nervously, insert meaningless filler words, and over-explain in an attempt to be liked. And in doing so, they do the exact opposite of what they want. they dilute their own presence. But those who command true respect, they don't fear silence. They embrace it. They understand that in every conversation, in every interaction, there is power and patience. They control the tempo. They slow things down. They create tension. They make people wait. And that waiting, that anticipation, it changes everything. When you pause before speaking, you create a moment of expectation, a subtle but undeniable shift in control. People instinctively lean in, their minds racing to fill the silence, subconsciously assigning importance to whatever comes next. The pause forces them to pay attention, not because you demanded it, but because you commanded it without effort. This is how power moves. It's never rushed, never desperate. It dictates the rhythm of the room instead of being dictated by it. Watch the most powerful leaders, the most respected figures in history, the most captivating speakers. They don't rush, they don't fidget, they don't fill every gap with noise. Instead, they pause. They let the silence stretch just long enough for the weight of their presence to settle. And when they finally speak, their words carry authority, not because they said more, but because they understood the power of saying less. This is not a gimmick. It's not some cheap trick or surface-level tactic. It's a deeply rooted psychological principle that has shaped human interactions for centuries, influencing everything from leadership dynamics to social hierarchies to the way people instinctively assess power. Those who understand it don't just get noticed, they command attention effortlessly. So why does this work? Because uncertainty makes people uncomfortable. The human brain craves patterns, predictability, and a sense of control over its environment. When you disrupt that natural rhythm with a well-placed pause, it creates an invisible but powerful shift. Suddenly, you are no longer just another voice blending into the noise. You become the focal point. You create tension, not an awkward, stumbling silence, but a deliberate, controlled pause that forces people to focus on you. When you don't rush to respond, it sends a subconscious signal. I am in control here. It shows you are not seeking approval, not scrambling for attention, not desperate to prove yourself. Instead, you dictate the flow of the conversation. You set the pace. And in doing so, you create an unspoken power dynamic where others instinctively follow your lead. But here's the most fascinating part. When you finally do speak, your words carry more weight. The longer people wait for something, the more valuable they perceive it to be. This is why the most powerful individuals never seem desperate to be heard. They know that when you slow down, when you take your time, when you let others sit in the silence, you naturally command more respect. Those who seek validation talk fast. Those who have true confidence don't need to. The next time you're in a conversation, whether it's with a friend, a stranger, or someone in a position of power, test this for yourself. Resist the impulse to respond instantly. Instead, take a breath. Let the silence settle. Hold their gaze, not with aggression, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence. Let them feel the space before you speak. You'll notice something fascinating. In that brief moment of pause, their anticipation will rise. Their focus will sharpen. Their body language will shift. Maybe they'll lean in slightly, their eyes locked onto yours, unconsciously drawn into the gravity of your presence. They'll wait because you've created something rare, uncertainty. And uncertainty demands attention. Then when you do speak, do it with certainty, with control, with intention. No rushing, no filler words, no unnecessary explanations, just a steady, deliberate delivery that makes every word land with weight. Watch how their reaction changes. Watch how the dynamic of the conversation tilts in your favor. Watch how, in that moment, they start to see you differently, not as just another person talking, but as someone whose words matter. After doing this, you'll realize how much of human interaction is dictated by presence, by perception, by the subtle cues that signal power before a single word is spoken. You'll understand why some people effortlessly command respect while others struggle to be heard. But sadly, most people will never understand this. They'll keep filling every silence with nervous chatter, mistaking speed for confidence. They'll rush their words, afraid that if they don't speak fast enough, they'll lose attention. They'll over-explain, trying to justify themselves, hoping to be liked. They'll laugh when they don't need to, nod excessively, seek validation in every response. And they won't even realize what they're doing. They won't see how their own desperation undermines them. They'll keep talking too much, and as a result, they'll keep fading into the background, unnoticed, unheard, unimportant. But those who master the pause, they rise above. They become the ones people remember. They don't chase approval, they make others crave theirs. They don't struggle for attention, it's given to them effortlessly, with just a single shift in how they carry themselves. They reshape the way the world interacts with them. They command respect without demanding it, influence without forcing it, and change the way people see them without saying much at all. Respect isn't something you plead for. It's not something you hope others will grant you out of kindness. It's something you command. Not through force, not through arrogance, but through presence. Those who truly understand this don't just talk differently, they move differently. They carry themselves with an effortless authority that makes people take notice. They don't shrink, they don't overcompensate. They simply exist in a way that demands acknowledgement. The ones who grasp these unspoken rules will always hold the upper hand over those who don't. They'll navigate conversations, social settings, and even life itself with an ease that others can't quite explain. While some struggle to be heard, they will be listened to. While others fight for attention, they will attract it effortlessly. So don't just think about it. Try it today, right now. The next time you speak, slow down, control the space, command the silence. And when you see the reaction, when you feel the shift in energy, the way people suddenly regard you differently, you'll understand something most people never will. And once you experience that power, you'll never go back.